a season in a box, every concept of Jill, you need to have a great season. So the reason why I thought about this was because last year I had an amazing opportunity to work with the Deerfield Academy boys lacrosse team. Because of COVID, they couldn't do a normal spring break trip, and they knew they were going to have a good team. And my cousin, Joe Dowling, who's up at Harvard now, was on the team, and a bunch of I work with a fair amount of the kids, and I got the opportunity to go work with the team. And what was so cool about it was like a 5 or 6 day, I think we had 6 days of practice. So I talked with Coach Davis, and I sort of gave him an idea, an outline of what I was thinking. And he was like, hey man, sounds great. I know that the guys will be prepared to do whatever we're going to do. And so it was really neat for me to be able to coach this incredible level of play, and to be able to introduce all the things that I want to show you. So I'm going to start off though from 50,000 feet, where I want to talk about some concepts that I think are really, really important. And I'm going to go into more depth here. First of all, the concept of free play. Free play, guys, I cannot, if you follow me at all on podcasts or my blogs, things like this, you'll know that I'm really a believer in free play. I cannot stress to you enough the power of free play. It is absolutely incredible. The kids that I work with, that I get playing these 3-by variations, have made such amazing progress. It's absolutely, I swear to God, it's like a miracle, you guys. It sounds crazy that kids could get so good without being coached, but they do. They figure out how to read and influence the game, which to me is really what it's all about. Feed the cats. For those of you guys who don't know what that is, I was introduced maybe about 10 months ago to a guy named Tony Holler, and he has had a profound impact on my opinion on everything as it relates to coaching. And I'm going to talk a little more detail on that. Creating a game-like practice environment. I'm going to get into this too. But what this is really all about is really taking the free play model and applying it to practice. Principles-based lacrosse, both sides of the ball. I've written a lot about this. I've talked a lot about this. And it's kind of like taking free play and creating game-like practice environments and applying it to your offense and defense. And frankly, I think we already do this a lot on defense. Generally speaking, defense is based on principles. And offense theoretically is, but then we start focusing more on our motions and our looks and all the different sets that we're running, and it steers us away from the most important principles. So I'm going to get back into that a little bit too. And then we're going to get into the drills. Okay, so first of all, if you haven't checked out the backyard curriculum, you should. The backyard curriculum is the breakdown of every single pickup game, free play game that you can imagine. And it is there, again, I can't stress to you enough why these are so powerful, but they truly are. So as I sort of talk about this a little bit, I'm just going to let this video run. But when you think about free play, the reason why it's so powerful is because the players are learning how to play the game without anybody else telling them how to do it. Their whole lives, they've been told to do it like this, don't do it like this. And they think about that. Playing in these environments, when you start looking at the level of skill and passing and finishing and teamwork, it is truly where kids learn how to be in the zone. When I talk about reading and influencing, I want you to think about this. Reading and influencing, what does that mean? Well, obviously reading, we know what that means. You're sort of seeing and reading the game, but what is the influencing part? The influencing part is using deception, using communication with teammates. Deception, which is really like communication, nonverbal communication with your opponent to control them, as well as off-ball movement. So if you think about off-ball movement, communication, and deception, they are the most important parts of the game, and they are actually almost impossible to teach. You're going to notice there's a lot of boys and girls out here. There's high school, college pros, old guys like me, and girls, boys. It's unbelievable when you start watching the level of passing and teamwork and slickness. Older boys, younger boys, it's really phenomenal. And there's all different variations of games. So these games truly teach kids how to play, and I've watched them get so much better in this. So there's nothing like this free play model, guys. This is pretty funny. This is watch Jerry Byrne go down here. That's Coach Byrne from Harvard. Oh, never mind. We missed that one. So anyways, let's talk a little bit about Tony Holler. Tony Holler is a high school chemistry teacher and track coach from Illinois. And he has had one of the biggest impacts of anybody in my lifetime of coaching. And he's had a massive impact on the whole industry of track. And now he's coming into lacrosse. He did a speech last year at the IMLCA convention that I listened to. And I was like, I got to meet this guy immediately. And he has some really, really interesting concepts. Now, I'm going to switch my share here for a second. I need to show you guys something. I can find my Chrome. Bear with me. So this article here called Feed the Cats Basketball is something that had a massive impact on me. Now, he's a speed guy, and he taught me how to develop speed, and he'll teach you too. But it had a bigger impact on my thought process on the most important things about coaching. The foundation of high performance is rest, recovery, and sleep. Sleep is more important than practice. Think about it when we wake up our kids to do a 5 a.m. workout. We are depriving them of the most important thing, which is their sleep, because that's where testosterone is developed. This is where your human growth hormone is released. Sprint, don't run, quality over quantity. Doing lots of conditioning, all it does is detrain you. Taking sleep away from your kids detrains you. Perform in practice. Okay, so we want to have extreme performance. Moderate exercise never leads to extreme performance. Okay, don't let today ruin tomorrow. Let the actual game be the hardest thing you do. Don't think that your practice should be the hardest thing you do and that the games will be easy. It's not true. The games will be harder. You'd rather be 100% healthy and 80% in shape than the other way around. There's no question about this. Don't do conditioning. Eliminate this. You may say, well, how do we get in shape? You're going to get in shape from playing the game. Alternate high and low practices within high performance. Meaning, what you're going to do is you're going to have your games as your highest performance day, and then you're going to give as much rest as possible so that you can have some performance days in practice. But you can't go full go every single day in practice and expect them to be able to go full go and give you their high performance in games. Making practice the best part of the day. This is part of what making practice game-like will be like for you. I'm going to go back to this article, you guys. And I'll put it out there for you. I would tell you that it's an incredibly impactful article that made a huge difference for me. This past season, I was coaching my daughter's team, and I went full on Feed the Cats. We had Tuesday and Thursday games. I gave them off Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, if you can believe it. We didn't have very many subs. We were really good, but we were not deep. We were a team that had done a ton of free play through COVID and over the off season. And when we had practices on Mondays and on Saturdays, we went hard, made it competitive, and the kids were so dialed. But then they were fully rested and ready to fly. Now, does that mean that you got to give 3 days off? No, it doesn't. The point is, I wanted to prioritize games. I wanted to prioritize the practices that we did, and we gave them as much rest as possible. And I'll tell you what, the best part was mentally, everybody was with us. All right, let's talk. Everybody was with us at the end of the season. Nobody was like shot mentally or physically. We were like, we had as good of a year as we could have had. Okay, create a game-like environment. This is so important, you guys. And I have some really, really cool stuff on this, but I feel like the word game-like has been confused over the years, because what I think we think of game-like is create a situation that happens in a game and practice it, which makes sense. But I actually think that there are certain elements of game-like that are so important that I want to share with you. So one is context. And context simply means enough teammates and opponents to make it realistic. A one-on-one is certainly better than a 1v0. Okay, I'd rather dodge a human than dodge a cone, but there's not much context in a 1v1. Therefore, I don't really do, unless I only had 2 kids, I wouldn't do one-on-ones, because it's not that hard to beat your man. The hard part is to beat your man and have sliders and adjacent players and teammates and have your head up and run out of space. That is, to me, what context is all about. I used to love doing West Jenny drills, 3-on-2s. I got to say, other than the fact that kids like it and it's fun, and I might do it for that reason, I don't think I would spend much time on a 3-on-2. There's not enough context. It's not realistic. It's too easy. It's like fool's gold. I really think the sweet spot of context is somewhere in the 4-on-3, 4-on-4 range, right up to 6-on-6. Now, obviously, as coaches, we have to find that balance between reps and context. Of course, the ultimate context would be like a full field game or scrimmage, but we could lose our reps in there. So we're trying to find that balance between reps and context. Okay, next, competitive. Making things competitive creates a game-like situation. And when you add the limited or no coach interference, it naturally comes together with competitive. And what I mean by this is, what makes a game game-like other than the fact that the coach really doesn't have control over it? Think about that. There's nothing that's more game-like than letting your kids win or lose the game itself, rather than controlling it, stopping it, redoing it. It makes perfect sense, but we have to let the environment do the teaching for our athletes. And that's what makes it game-like. Why do we not do things? We already know that kids love competition. They love competition more than anything else. Why would we not do this more often? Well, there's a couple of reasons. One is because it makes us as coaches feel like we're not accomplishing as much, because we may not execute what we had set out for. So like every day in practice, we've got things that we want to accomplish. And if we make it game-like and we turn it into a competition of some kind, like a 4-on-4 game rather than drill, well, we can't stop it. We can't fix it. We can't correct it. But is stopping it, fixing it, and correcting it actually better than letting them win or lose on their own? I don't think so, because it's fool's gold when they do it because you stopped it and corrected it. Use the film later to do the teaching. Let the real-time winning or losing of this game. And if you feel like you're not getting the looks that you want, then you probably need to figure out how to create a game with rules that get you what you want. Maybe it's on you a little bit. So how do you do this? You don't blow the whistle. Let them play out ground balls. Play out your 6-on-6s. But there are some exceptions to game-like environments. And what I would say is the exceptions are, for one, would be if you go game-like all the time and make it competitive all the time, it might be going against the feed the cats model of rest and recovery, and we have to have performance practices and lighter practices. But that's why I actually love the pickup games, the 3-by variations, the stuff that I was showing you here before. Why do I love this so much? Because you can play you can play these games all day and not get too tired. You literally can play an hour and a half of pickup and it doesn't beat you down the way when you put equipment on. And so that is kind of like the beauty of doing this stuff with no equipment, is you can literally scale your opportunities to learn how to read and influence plays. You can scale them way more because you can play for an hour and a half. You can play a 4-on-4 plus a goalie game for an hour and a half if you wanted to, and just play. You're not going to be playing it as hard as you might be playing with full equipment, but you just have to realize that that's the trade-off is we're getting better at decision-making. We're getting better at reading and influencing plays. Okay. So, another exception to the game-like environments would be, well, it's kind of along the same lines. Your warm-up. You can do passing and catching drills with zero context in your warm-up. And then there's some defensive type of communication and stuff that I want to show you that I think you can do that can help you, because there is context, but you just don't have the full go and the competitiveness of it. Okay, so I talk about the principles-based offense, and I'm going to get way more into depth into this in a little bit, but I want to talk a little bit about this now. I've really come to this conclusion that these principles of possession, which would mean it's a possession game. You got to wear another team down. You have to be able to take great shots with your sticks to the middle. You got to have great shot selection, feed selection. You have to be able to deal with pressure and to win a game. In the end of the game, you got to be able to do it, but you got to be able to do it anyway, because people are going to pressure you. You have to be able to take care of that. And to have your team understand this. It's a passing game. Ball movement spreads the defense out. Ball movement creates new responsibilities. Ball movement, assisted shots score at a higher percentage than unassisted shots. There are so many reasons to be a great ball movement team. We all know this. So we got to make sure that we are emphasizing principles, picking on and off ball simultaneously. So powerful. Seals, slips, picks, combined with your passing, your ball movement is borderline unguardable. You saw the Andy Towers and the chaos prove this. That their offense was brilliant, and they simply just picked on and off ball. Now, I know they had all these specific looks that they did, but in the end, it was on ball and off ball picking and ball movement and their mastery of these things that allowed them to have success. We'll talk more about this. Spacing. Stay out of the middle. Why would we ever put somebody on the crease? Think about it. All it does, when you have someone on the crease, all it does is give the defense an anchor from which they can slide and to which they can second slide. They know where you're going, basically. I know there's motion options. Everybody knows what the options are. Crease follows, crease floats, backside guy cuts. Ball side attack and clears through. Ball side attack and fades behind. It's all the same stuff. It doesn't really matter what set it is. And then the reads. The reads is where your upside is. Reading when somebody needs to move the ball. Reading, are they switching or are they staying? Reading, if they're staying, are they going under or are they going over? Now, one of the things about these principles that is so important, and I've mentioned this before, one of the things about the principles is these are the principles that everybody would say they have, and there's probably more of them. The thing is, when you start running your sets and your motions and your offenses, they tend to take priority over your principles. What do I mean by that? You might say that's not true, but I think it is true, because you're going to be like, dude, you got to exchange when the ball's behind, and they're exchanging when the ball's behind in the big little. And then you're like, but buddy, that you're wide open. You don't have to exchange if you're wide open. All of a sudden, your motion was more important than the read. And what ends up happening is that the kids, for some of them, it's pretty easy to remember all the offenses. I mean, think about this. If you keep it really, really simple, then it's too easy. And the defense knows exactly what you're doing. And as you get more and more complex, then all of a sudden, there's too much for the kids to remember. And then they are going to choose remembering where to be over reads. What about possession? I think that when you run a set and you're like, all right, guys, you got to draw a slide. You got to beat your guy. You got to draw the slide. And then here are the looks. Okay. We're going to clear through the ball side attackman. You got to look through X. You're going to have the crease guy floating out the back. You might have a skip pass. You got your throwback. You got your dump down. We can reverse it to the follow. You got all of these looks in this particular offense. And what are they going to try to do? They're going to try to make that play. You got to draw a slide. Listen, if you don't draw a slide, I'm going to get somebody in there that will. And then next thing you know, they're running into trouble. And if you basically play an offense that sticks with these principles, and I'll show you how it works later, I think you're going to be so happy with what you get. Your offense becomes picking, and passing, and spacing, and reads, and the possession is almost like a keep away game. In the coaches training program, there are tons of things to learn, whether it be 1-4-1, Penn State offense, Spain look, center dodges, big little stuff. There's endless looks. So you can find them all in here. I'm going to move on for a second. I'm going to come back to team offense at the end. Let's talk a little bit about skill development. So again, in the coach training program, there's an endless amount of content. There's so many different amazing skills. I would say that I've come a long way in the way that I'm trying to develop skills in that, other than my warm-up, in which I'll do some passing and catching. I'm pretty much going to be doing mostly keep away stuff and live stuff to be able to develop skills. And if we're going to do some shooting, I'll almost always do it on a goalie with tennis balls so that we can make sure that we're learning how to be deceptive shooters. And I will use free play at the bottom by far as my number one way to develop skills, and then video. So rather than repping out, see all the double threat, hesitation moves, pop outs, redodges, passes, face dodge finish, feet cuts, there's endless skills, endless videos and stuff to learn. But the way I would have taught this would have been, I would have repped it out. I would have taught it, explained it, repped it against a cone, repped it in a 2-on-1, 3-on-2, 4-on-3, repped it in an all even, and then bang, everybody knows how to do it. They should be able to do it. And what I've found is doing it in the free play, teaching it in video has been so much more powerful. It's not even funny. So I said I would do some warm up with not much context to start off. This is with the Deerfield team. This is just little 3-man weave. I don't really care how it looks. We're just banging out some little 3-man weave. It's all just basically warm up. I will do some shooting of various kinds against goalies, sometimes on the run, sometimes time and room, all the while trying to make sure we get some reps and trying to make sure that we learn how to be deceptive. When we have multiple goalies, we'll use multiple goals and we'll try to scale our shooting as much as we can and let everybody do all different types of stuff, whether it's feeds, shots, finishes, on the run, from behind, come around stuff, all different kinds of ways of learning how to feed and finish. And we'll always use tennis balls so that we can not beat up our goalies and really learn how to. I mean, this is a pretty good skill. Not a whole lot of context, but we are learning how to shoot from quick come arounds, which will happen a lot in your various invert type of stuff, and learn how to like double fake finish, learn how to finish before you get to the goal line. Keep away stuff. You'll see here. I used to love this crank passing drill. And then I started realizing that I wanted to have more context. So what we're doing here is crank passing 4-on-3. And we're basically being able to fire the ball, looking for skip passes, and just really trying to throw it hard. I'm trying to get them to wind up and shoot the balls at each other with sort of a lot of underhand passes, a lot of drags, and a lot of opportunities to catch balls that are coming at you really, really hard. Fast forward this a little bit. This is a pretty cool 4-on-3 keep away drill where we're working on picking on and off ball simultaneously. Now you could make this competitive. The context is here. The competitiveness can be. A lot of times with keep away, it's still a little bit more of a warm up. So you can see right here, there's a pick on ball, but there's no picks going off ball. You'll see a pick on ball here, no pick off ball. This was the first day that I was working with these guys, and I was trying to get them in the habit of picking on ball and off ball. Okay, we saw one right here. Okay, you're going to see an on ball pick going on and an off ball pick going on simultaneously. And the next thing you're going to start to get is seals, but it's pretty good move the ball, play out of it. We've got legitimate context going on. Like I said, if you want to make a keep away drill competitive, you can. You simply got to just simply count passes and just say, okay, well, you got to get, let the white team be on offense and say you get to 20 passes, you win, you can find the space. If the ball goes out of bounds, then the green team gets a chance to go. But we were just kind of playing here and just really trying to get some stick work going while we were working on getting simultaneous picks on and off ball. This, you guys, is the one drill that wasn't with the Deerfield team that is pretty awesome. This is a 5-on-5 keep away with picks going on and off ball simultaneously. And this was competitive because the all even ones are a little bit easier to make competitive. And simply all you do is count your passes on this. Some pretty good players here. And what we're trying to do is get on and off ball picks. And really, we're trying to get them to learn how to seal. And I want you to look at this kid right here, number 7. Do you see how it would have been easier for him to seal his man right here and allow that guy to come right over it while this guy has his head up? And I want you to see the on-ball seal opportunity here as well, because this picker number 63, the orange helmet, 63 is on D. This kid right here, number 9 in the orange helmet, would probably have been better off picking off his own guy. And the seals, you guys, are so important. I can't stress it enough. On and off ball, learning how to seal. We'll talk more about that. But as we watch this, you're going to watch the kids learning how to handle under pressure, learning how to back their guy off with their postures and their fakes, catching in traffic. Now, we only have one pole here. It's a pretty tough drill to do with a bunch of poles, but it's pretty awesome. But you can see the stick work going on. This is like free play. This is as good as it gets. Honestly, you guys, I don't think there's anything better than this 5-on-5 keep away for teaching your ability to handle pressure, to be able to see the field, to be able to play two-man game on ball, off ball, to dodge, to feed, to have your head up, to learn how to play off the ball with picks and seals and slips. It's phenomenal. And what they learn after a while is how to slip so much better. Because watch this guy coming back to set a pick, and watch the guys in blue. He didn't switch it as well as he could have, but he could have switched that so easily. Darn it. Sorry, guys. Fast forward. So anyways, 5-on-5 keep away, as good as it gets. So as you can see, I do a fair amount of keep away. I do the uneven for the stick work, kind of warm up, and I do the all even and make it competitive. And it is awesome. I talk about free play a lot. Here's how you can do free play in practice. Now, these are NLL size nets. They're a little bit too big, I'd say, but they were fine for this. But right now we're playing a 4-on-4 plus a goalie game. And you see, this is a nice job of sealing right here. We got actions going on both simultaneously. We're learning how to swing the ball over the top. Can you see how much better this would be if this guy was sealing here and this guy was coming up and forcing these guys to start playing this type of two-man? When you seal, you're sealing a switch and you're basically forcing them either to fight really hard, which they don't really want to do, or they have to play it like it's man-to-man. So in your practices, when you're thinking about having a performance day, you're going to do your full-on competitions. But here, this is competitive. This is game-like, but we're not asking them to go as hard. There's no poles. Guys aren't getting the crap beaten out of them. They love it, and they're going to learn how to get the ball, swing it, get it low, play on ball and off ball simultaneously. And it's box is all it is. It's 4-on-4. I love 5-on-5 box too. But the more you do this stuff, guys, this is free play, just like the no equipment. It's a little more physical than the no equipment. It's a little harder. So the no equipment, why do we do that again? Because it allows us to scale the crap out of decision-making opportunities and how to read and influence plays. Here, we've got a 5-on-5, all shorties. The defense is down the other end. The offense is just playing 5-on-5. Probably a little too easy to score, honestly, with a full-size net, but we didn't have an NLL-sized net, which would be pretty good for this. But watch the actions going on. The ball's swinging. All right, Green picked it, so it's probably going to be up. Should have been a green ball there. Coach Q gave it back to the white. But what we're doing is we're working on our 3-man side offense, 2-man side. This is the principles-based offense where we're trying to move the ball, set picks, swing it, get it low, pass down, pick down, seal your own man first, come off, looking for cutters, looking for finishes. Probably a better idea to use tennis balls, but this is another way of developing your team from a skill perspective with real context within the scope of your offense. Again, I would probably prefer to use a smaller net for this game, but in this particular time, we were stuck. We didn't have a smaller net. Okay, so there's a lot more principles in this, but I'm keeping it kind of simple with you guys. How we guard the ball and ball pressure, so important, so critical. And it's going to apply to all of our drills. And how we approach the ball is going to be, obviously fits into how we guard it. And it allows us to have some ball pressure. Reading the quality of defense on the ball. This is everybody. It's not just the slider making slide decisions. It's the whole defense reading the quality of defense on the ball together. And what are those tells? The tells are, what's the matchup? Where are they on the field? Are they near the net? Are they far from the net? Did the short stick on ball get a piece of the guy? Did he get a chunk? Did he make contact or not? Do we see the numbers on the back of the jersey or the front of the jersey? These are the things that will allow us to really read the quality of defense and tell us whether we need to collapse or do we need to surround the crease or collapse to the crease. Our off-ball posture, being sideways as well as being in an athletic position, so critical so that we can move quickly while we're reading the quality of defense on the ball, while we're putting pressure on the ball so they can't easily feed and skip when we're in help positions. And of course, communication is so important, and it's one of the ways that you can read and influence plays. All right, so I'm going to pause here for a sec, and try to take some questions if I can. So give me a second here. So this is how Coach Simmons was at Syracuse, 1 hour and 15 minutes mid-season. Yes, really good point. Competition is messy, and the learning is in the mess. That's correct, Michael. How do you keep score in this drill? I don't know. I don't remember which drill it was. Sorry. Are all the drill videos playing? Hold on. Smoother am I? I don't know. It may be your Wi-Fi. I'm not sure if people are seeing the drill smoothly or not, but I'll have a recording of this. What percentage of the tennis ball in the 4-on-4s versus real ball in the 6-on-6? Tennis ball percentage versus real ball. When we use small nets, we almost always use tennis balls. When we use a big net, I'll use a tennis ball. If I only had one goalie, I would use a tennis ball a lot because I do not want to risk killing my goalies. Michael Brand, how do you keep scoring the 5-on-5 keep away? Yeah. Okay. So that's a great question. What I would do is I would say 21 passes. If the ball goes out of bounds, you get pushed out of bounds, the ball goes out of bounds, there's a turnover, the other team gets the ball, and you just play to a number, and that's the way. Or you could do it like innings. You could play like 9 innings and see who's winning at the end of 9 innings. I think we have a couple more questions on the Q&As. Coach, thoughts on using tennis balls in 4-on-4 in other games? Yeah. So goes against game-like environment, certainly has benefits. Yeah, I don't think tennis balls goes against game-like. I think they're very game-like. So game-like to me has more to do with competitiveness, the lack of coach involvement, and context. However, using tennis balls in a shooting drill is particularly game-like, but we're kind of working. We have to do some of that because we can't go game-like all the time. It's just a little bit too physically taxing, which is why the whole Feed the Cats model will have high performance practices and then lower performance practices. They're going to be a little more quiet. Is the 5-on-5 keep away confined space? Yes, it is. Let's see. I have an issue with some of my kids buying into free play. I love it, but I think the kids don't see it as real lacrosse. Little do they know it's actually the best thing for them. Yeah. So, yeah, put equipment on them, give them tennis balls, and just play that way if you have to. You know, there's a lot of people honestly like that, Nate, that don't understand the value of it. They'd rather go shoot 150 balls than play, 40 minutes of 3x. But there's the same people that probably don't use much of a repertoire of skills. We do a lot of keep away to start practice, but don't allow contact. Looks like you guys are playing a little physical. We play 2-100, 1 point per catch. Yeah. So that's from Chris Hess. Yeah, we do a little bit of both. I like the real physical, all even keep away. I like the uneven stick work keep away too. All right. So I'm going to go back to the thing here, guys. Let me just share my screen again. It's embarrassing to try to read the screen and have to squint as much as I have to squint. So I am a self-proclaimed disciple of Jerry Byrne. I know he learned a lot at Notre Dame from Kevin Corrigan, so I should probably say that about Kevin too. I love the way Notre Dame has played defense over the years. I love where Jerry took it to. Find it incredibly interesting, and a lot of the stuff that I have that I believe in, all of these bullet points really come. I mean, I coached a lot of defense before I met those guys, but man, I've applied everything that they teach, and I really love it. In the coaches training program, there is a ton of stuff on this. And you know what the best part is? You see these like Eddie Glazner webinars, and you'll see like all these Matt Landis webinars. So what I found out about, what I always knew about Jerry was, I'd go to practice, I'd talk to him on the phone, I'd, invite him for, have him do clinic talks. And he always did an amazing job, but he's pretty guarded. But what I found out was that Glaze gives away everything. So the best line from Eddie Glazner, when my first conversation with him was, he goes, "I know for a fact that when Landis squares up to the ball, he's going, and I'm making my next decision." And I was like, oh. So I always thought that one of Jerry's rules of always being sideways and never squaring up to a slide until you go, I always thought that was kind of relative, to seeing your man in the ball, until Eddie said, "I know for a fact that when Landis squares up to the ball, he's going, and I'm making my next decision." And I was like, man, that is absolutely brilliant. Jerry left that one out when he told me the rules. It is brilliant. And so there's all kinds of tells and all kinds of interesting stuff. And there's so much great content in this coaches training program. So hopefully you guys are licking your chops on this. But these drills, so a lot of times when I was showing you all these offensive drills back here, a lot of the stuff was sort of offense, the shooting, some of the keep away stuff, some of these drills, these keep aways. We could have offense and defense in here. I think this was all offense when we were doing the 4-on-4 free play stuff. This was definitely all offense here. Why? Because a lot of times our defense is down the other end doing all defensive stuff. And here's where maybe it's there's not as much context, but I'm willing to. But there is some context, and I'm willing to sacrifice some context for the reps of understanding how to play the ball the way we want to play the ball. And if you watch Jerry Byrne, he scales the crap out of his reps by having the defenders match up. It's funny because he's like, "Oh, we never do one-on-ones at Harvard or at Notre Dame." Like, we never did one-on-ones, but they get more one-on-one reps than anyone in the country because they're pairing up and they're doing one-on-one type of things all day long, working on their footwork, working on their holds, working on their lifts, working on their pokes, working on their ability to go from a cross-check hold to a V hold, and over and over and over again, learning how to do reverse V holds. And you can see the kind of reps that we're getting here as we're going down. Here's another version of it. This is an in and out drill, working on covering a dodge, bounce, redodge, and being able to step out. The defender on ball here should really be stepping out and putting the ball pressure on, but not over approaching. This is just simply working on the approach of a redodge being able to maintain ball pressure with a right on left or a right on right type of situation. And all of these little drills, yes, they're not game-like from the competitive perspective, and there's not a ton of context. But there are some skills that I do feel like are worth reps, and there is a feel to it. Okay. So even though there's not a ton of context, there's enough context because there is a dodger that we're defending, and we're learning how to feel the leverage, how to hold them, and how to use our sticks and our feet and our cross checks all together as we do this. And so we kind of go this back and forth. Here they're going in and out again. And again, what we're trying to do is make sure that we approach the ball under control to keep our ball pressure, because there's all different types of approaches. So you can see this is what we're doing there. This is a 32 lunge pail drill, and all it is a 3-on-2 drill where we're going to have an approach. Whoops, somebody wiped out. This turf down at IMG was pretty slippery. So there's an approach right here. We're going to work on our approach technique, our lead poke. We're going to dodge. We're going to double move on our dodges, and then we're going to move the ball on to the next guy. This turf was a little slippery, so I think somebody went down. Here we go. Let's get them up again. So the ball, here's another approach. Good lead poke. Number one's getting in. There's a dodge, a rollback, good ball pressure. Everyone's going down on the turf. Here's another approach. You can see how this guy's getting in. And on the third dodge, we should be getting a double team. Maybe it'll be the fourth dodge. This is what it's supposed to be, the third dodge, and they should be looking for a double here. Okay, so it could be a rollback or it could be a slide to their face. So the idea is after they make 3 passes, we get 3 approaches, 3 different multiple move dodges, and then we're going to get a double team. And this is the first time we ran this, so don't hold it against them that it's not totally clean yet. But they're getting pretty good reps with their stick work. We're really not playing hard defense because we don't really want to put the ball on the ground here. We want to work on approaches and getting in and getting into our off-ball position. Good approach. And then we're going to work on the communication of a double team. We'll see what we got here. So this is a shed drill. And this is simple, or maybe it's dodge, bounce, redodge, actually. But what we're working on is a slider, a crease man, a dodge, and we're working on reading dodge, bounces, and redodges, and when to slide. There's a lot more stuff on this, but DBR drill, one of the best drills you can do. This is a pretty cool drill too. I'm pretty sure that this is what I call shed buildup. So Jerry has this drill called a shed drill, in which, if you can imagine, this is like 2 guys out top, 1 crease guy. And if you can imagine, the imaginary goal crease is like right here facing that way. And we're getting 2-man actions here. These guys have to communicate the 2-man actions. We have a guy who's hot, who's trying to decide on his slide decisions. And we've got a crease man who's trying to seal him the whole time. And that's why he has to shed that seal. And so if you can sort of see the pick action, we're going to be working on, pick coming left, switch, and we're trying to read our slide opportunities. We're getting throwbacks. Again, it's going to get better over the course of time, but we are working on our communication of push over it. George, push over. You're through it. Switch. George, get under. Whatever it is that you guys want to play on your 2-man game. There's no real right or wrong way, but we are getting reps. And the other thing that we're learning how to get is how to get slide decisions. Now, one of the hardest parts about this drill, you guys, and one of the most important parts about this drill, and again, it is a drill because it's giving us context, but it's not giving us competition, but that's okay. But part of the thing we have to be able to do, and this is so important, is our on-ball defenders have to learn how to give a tell to the slider who should be getting ready to help by letting yourself get beat, but in a realistic way, so that we can actually have a slide decision. So if we're not going to dodge 100% and we're not playing 100% defense, if the defense plays too hard, then we never beat anybody and we never get a realistic look. Do you understand what I mean by this? We have to get out and play the guy and as if we tried to get a chunk of the guy and we missed. So I'm going to show you more of this as it goes on, but this scenario is just one scenario. And again, this is the first day of running this, so I wouldn't judge it too harshly quite yet. But this drill, and there's a lot more in the coach's training program on this, but we are working on our slide position, obviously simulating either a 1-3-2 counting from behind with sort of pick action out top, or maybe it's a 2-2-2 kind of, just with one crease guy. Throwback, slide, recover, and we've got our recovery communication going on as well. Here, we've got a drill called cylinder drill. This is one of the really, really great drill that I love. It works on approaches and it works on backside positioning. So here's the imaginary crease, and this guy's the imaginary goalie standing in it. We've got a dodger who's kind of running and dodging up and down the wing, and we've got a backside offensive player who's moving up and down the wing while his man is trying to stay sideways and see the ball and see his man. Okay. And we've got this going on with multiple cages at a time. And again, there's no competitive nature to this, but there is pretty good context. We've got an approach, and we've got this backside guy should be moving. We've got an approach and on-ball defense, and we've got this man trying to turn his head. You can see the backside guy going up and down. He's moving. He's getting sideways. He's seeing his guy. He flips around. You see how he flips around right there? It gives you a really good way of understanding what you're going to watch him probably flip around again in a second. There he goes, flips around again. Ball goes over the top. We got an approach. We're getting in. We're helping, and we're working on our backside communication. This is not crease slide communication. This would be, hey, I got your two, you can go. Here we're working on a drill called Skip Survivor with a dodge, a slide, a second slide, pass to X, an approach, another dodge, another round of slides, and a second slide. This is all about communication. Again, it is so important that our on-ball defenders learn how to play the ball half speed realistically and give a look of no slide necessary, give a look of a slide is necessary. So again, this is early on, but we get a slide. We got a second slide. We've got him pointing the recovery right here, right here, right here. We're approaching X. We've got another slide. The man who was on ball is now on the crease, and he's going to get ready to slide. And we're going to get a hammer slide with a V hold, and it's a pretty good job right there. So let's try it again. Dodge. I'm going. You can go. Second slide. Recover. Approach. Dodge. Next guy ready to go. And we got a nice job on a hammer slide. So we're repping this, and we can initiate this from behind as well. But it's a really good way for us to go through the scenarios of slide and recovery. But all the while, you guys, it is so important, I can't stress it enough, that you teach your on-ball defenders how to get beat or not realistically, and to change it up. And for your dodgers to be able to do that too, where they can learn how to bounce in and out. So we can play a half speed, 3/4 speed, and give ourselves different looks. We're not just sliding every time. We're actually trying to create the read, whether we're going in that context. Okay? It's a great drill. Here, this is another version of shed buildup, where we're working on what a 1-3-2 and a wing clear through looks like. So we've got two middies out top. We got a crease middy who's hot. We got wing tackman here and there. So it's like a 1-3-2 without the X guy. All right. There's no X guy. We're gonna dodge. We're gonna follow over. Maybe we'll float out with the other middy, and we're gonna usually get a clear through. And what we're really working on here, you guys, is we're gonna work on transferring the slide responsibility from the crease guy to the clear through guy, to this guy. That was one of the main reasons why I was putting this in, was to be able to work on that. But we could also go back to the drill we did a couple minutes ago, where we had the pick action up top, and we can sort of build on all of that. So let's go ahead and and let this roll. Again, this was the first day we were doing this, but we just transferred. We were able to just, I'm going, the crease guy is going, I'm going. And then you can see he's communicating to the base defenseman that it's going to be his responsibility to go. Now, I'm not sure he should have gone, but maybe it wasn't a terrible read, but I want our on-ball defender and the dodger to work together to create a read. Again, I can't stress this enough, you guys. Get the on-ball defender and the dodger to be able to give the defense a look of go or no go. Because it's equally important that we recognize whether we're going or not going, because our recoveries will be the same too. Great job pointing recoveries. Now the ball comes over the other side, dodge, crease guy's ready to go. Now the low guy is getting ready to go. And I know this is rudimentary and I know it doesn't look pretty, but this is the kind of communication of situations that will really, really help your defense get better. Here's an example of doing the same thing with more of a Syracuse motion setup. So we get 2 passes across the top. What we're doing is we said, okay, we're going to dodge. Our crease guy is either going to follow or float. And I gave them 2 options. The top center guy is going to read the crease guy. The top center guy, if the top center guy sees a crease guy follow, then he's going to float. If he sees the crease guy float, then he's going to follow. The backside guy is going to cut. So this is your classic 4-midi out. It's a really, really good way for us to work on our recoveries. And we have to realize whether we're going or not going. So here we have a slide, we have a pass to X, and we've got a U-turn recovery. Now, it wasn't pretty because, again, these guys are just learning how to do this. But we're working on all of the scenario of, think about it. We got slider, we got go or no go. We got throwback and dump down. We've got crease follows and crease floats, and all of those can be mixed in. In other words, we might have a dodge, a crease float, and a no-go, and we have to figure out how to recovery on that, and a throwback or a dump down. So on the dump downs, we're working on our, as you can see on our dump downs, we're working on our U-turns. You can see as the ball gets over, this guy's getting in. Good job. We got our slide right here. This guy started following him. He shouldn't have, because this guy should have been cutting a little bit earlier. But again, we got to teach our defenders the offense as well. But that guy should have been cutting a little bit earlier. This guy does a great job because as we U-turn back to this follow here, this guy's able to get over to him who's going down to the float spot. So U-turn recoveries, guys, particularly when the defense floats, and it happens whether we slide or don't slide. But again, it looks a little ugly. That's why it's so important to have film, but pretty good job. Now they're swinging it back. We're getting ourselves in. We got a shed drill action going on where we can we're ready to go. We're trying to give ourselves, remember how important it is, give ourselves the look of getting beat or playing good D so we can have that. There's a slide, there's a dump to X. That kid on ball should have been U-turning. This guy, I don't know what he's doing because his man is cutting. But again, that's why we're doing it. Now, if I fast forward towards the end of this drill, I think you're going to see that it gets a little bit better. Let's try it out. Let's see. Ball swings up, goes back, dodge, slide. Decent, much better movements from the offensive perspective, as well as better job on the D. I'm going, swing it back up. That lefty's a little bit lost. Okay, you guys got it? Really important stuff. Okay, transition and man up, man down stuff. This is where the real game-like stuff starts happening. First of all, in the coaches training program, there's a ton of transition stuff. One of the things that I love is just making competition out of even unevens. Now, that's not a whole lot of context, is there? Sometimes I told you the only reason why I would do 2-on-1s and 3-on-2s is because the kids like it. It is fun, but we're making this competitive. So what we're doing here is we're saying the offense has to score 4 goals to win. And they got a 2-on-1, a 3-on-2, a 4-on-3, a 5-on-4, and then another 5-on-4 for a second rep of 5-on-4. Their second rep of 5-on-4 must be motions. And so let's watch the next one. What I do kind of like about it, even though there's not a ton of context in the 2-on-1, 3-on-2 part, is it makes everybody have to, you got to bury or you'll lose. So, okay, the goalie makes a save on the 2-on-1. It's a problem for the offense. Now they got a 3-on-2. Goalie makes a save. They're probably going to lose this rep, and they're going to do push-ups when they lose the rep. Here's a 4-on-3. Now, granted, I want you guys also to remember that this was like day 5 or day 6 of spring break. So the kids were like a little bit dying, and we had to kind of let them do this. But in this, it was competitive, and the offense was losing a lot of reps. The second rep of the 5-on-4s was always motions with picking on ball and off ball simultaneously. And if they didn't move the ball on and off ball simultaneously, then a shot clock came on. Here we've got a really a great way of running your transition, and we try to make things competitive into our 6-on-6. This is a transition into a 6-on-6 in which we were working on running in a 4-on-4 situation. Obviously, everybody knows to give a 4-on-3 or a 5-on-4, but what we're doing here, and this is really important, you guys, is to split your players apart. So when the ball is coming down here, that the point guy who's going to stop the ball can tell this midi to get to his man, and it's a really, really good habit. So I trying to make everything as much as we can with context and competition when we can. And if they lose, they lose. Man up, man down, tons of stuff in the coach's training program. I really have decided that I love doing stuff with 5-on-4s competitive, as well as 6-on-5. So here we've got a 5-on-4 game in which we're going to play a box in one rep, and then we're going to start doing our motion second rep. So you can see they weren't motioning around at first. They forgot, but now they are. And what I say is, all right, if the offense scores 4 goals before the defense gets 7 stops, then the offense wins. And you can figure out however you want to do it. If the offense gets 4 goals before the defense gets 8 stops, you figure out what's fair. So we go 1 rep of a formation, and then we go 1 rep of motion. So here they're doing the formation is a box in 1, which I love for the defense. And then it turns into motion, and you're going to get picking and sealing going on simultaneously, which is all about the principles-based offense that we're talking about. 1 rep, box in 1, the next rep motion, and we make it competitive. And it's really, really fun. The kids love it. Here, same thing, but now what we're doing is 6-on-5. 1 rep. I'm gonna fast forward this a little bit. 1 rep is going to be defense is playing like a 5-man rotation, and the offense is just moving it. It's competitive. Play it out. Maybe we'll say the offense scores 3 goals before the defense gets, 6 stops or something like that. Cleared out to the midline, or maybe I think we're just playing to possession here. And then what we're trying to do actually is mix in. Sometimes we're playing full man up, man down, where the defense is just playing a 5-man rotation. Other times we're trying to get the defense to full pressure. You see how they're a little slow to do it, but we're starting to run our regular offense against 6-on-5. I learned that from Coach Walvogel at Yale, that one of the best things you can do for your defense is to have them play. So you see how right here, this is a really good example. So first rep is 6-on-5, like man up, man down. Second rep, we're playing the ball and playing the adjacents as if it's man to man in a 6-on-5 game. Again, we're alternating between man up, man down, and playing like it's all even while we're man down. So right here, you can see there's a dodge, there's backside actions, the ball's moving. We got to rotate. They really got to rotate. We're playing like it's all even. We're pressuring. Now we're back to our man up, man down, playing out of a 5-man rotation. You can put in all of your man up, man down looks this way, but to make it competitive makes it so much more worthwhile for everybody. And you can eventually get your offense. I mean, I hadn't taught them anything except for just kind of move the ball here, but obviously you got tons of looks that you can run. Now They're in a, now it's all even, now they're playing like it's all even while they're man down. You see that? So I give the defense a chance to get on ball and get their adjacents. There's ball movement, the rotations. Oh, he's late. Oh, that shorty's really late, but he's getting there. And it's incredibly healthy for your team to learn how to play this way. Again, this was the first time we did this. Now they're back to playing man up, man down in a 5-man rotation. Man up, man down, just playing out of it. And so we kind of alternate between what we're doing, but we're making every rep competitive where we can. And you can see how they're fighting after ground balls, and it makes it pretty fun. Sometimes we'll play clear it out of the box. So here, they were late to get on it, but they're trying to push out to play it like it's all even. Now they're playing like it's all even, and the offense is playing like it's all even too. All right, so riding and clearing. So some of the stuff you'll do. First of all, there's a ton of stuff in the coaches training program on riding clearing that you should check out. Some great content in there. But for one thing, you can just work when the offense is down one end, you can start working on this, for example, where I'm teaching the read of how to identify where the attackman is. And that's what we're working on right here. I'm explaining this. Let's see if we can get some reps on this, see what it looks like. Okay. So what we're trying to do is figure out how to play our 3-on-2 down low and figure out how to get the ball to the bench side guy stepping over. The ball goes throw back to the goalie. He says, goalie, goalie, goalie. And then the backside guy is bringing it up. This is really more about reads than anything else. How you play your 3-on-2 down low and figure out where the guy is being guarded by the attackman is incredibly important. So we're sort of playing this 3-on-2 out from the restraining line. So there's 2 riding attackmen. There's a goalie. So here's the rep. The ball goes over. You can see that this guy is splitting the overpass. So the goalie is going to say goalie, 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 goalie. The goal, he doesn't play it. So now he pushes it, he pushes it, he pushes it. Now he's got it. Now we throw it over. Okay. It's just a simple way of working on a 3-on-2 to figure out one of these 3 low guys is going to have to throw it over the midfield line. And we don't want him to throw it from here because he's inside the restraining line. We want him to run up, or this goalie to run up. Or if the ball goes over the top to this guy, he's going to run up and shorten this pass. Because what we don't want is a super long pass that they're going to be able to defend on. All right. Here, let's see what we got here. What do we have? Oh, this is a 4-on-3 ride clear situation. I learned this from Kevin Corrigan. I really like it. So let's see it from a breakout. The ball breaks out. Really what I'd like to see, and it wasn't happening because it was our first day, but it's one attackman on the ball, one attackman reading, and then we're gonna make decisions on these 3 attack riders, who's getting the ball, who's getting the midi in the middle, and who's chasing over the top. And we're trying to get them to give us different looks every single time down. So let's see what we got here. That's a riding attackman. That's the defender in the middle. Rotate over, and yeah, it's pretty good job there. Again, it's a little bit ugly, guys, but that's kind of how it goes. Now we don't have the competitive element here, but we do have the context. So when we kind of go offense, defense, and we're sort of teaching certain things, it may not be as competitive. But when we go with our unevens and our all evens, it gets super competitive. Here, pretty good way of learning how to, when we work on riding and clearing, sometimes I'll have the offense play what I call airball. And they're just running their offense with their picks with no ball. And then you can see me rolling a ball in towards the goalie. And we're just going to work on our breakout and our rides and our clears. And you can make this competitive if you want, but what we're really trying to do here is just build up on all the stuff we were working on before, figuring out how to find the guy being guarded by the attackman. And you can see him right there. There he is. Not a bad job by those guys. All right, so now let's get to our 6-on-6 build up. Before we do, I guess I'll answer a couple questions here real quick. So guys, I know this has been pretty long. I hope it's been good for you. Coach, early day tomorrow, have to bail. Okay, no problem, Schneider. Do you have defenders use stubbies? I don't. I don't really do that too much. I kind of like them using their poles and getting their lifts and stuff like that. But I would probably have them use a short stick before I did that. For 11-year-olds, what kind of basic offense do you think is simple? I'm going to show you that in a second. Let's get to some Q&A here. What do you typically, how do I typically get someone to film practice? Another student from Coach Joyce. You know what? I do it myself on my iPhone. I bring out a step ladder, I step up on it and I film a drill. That's what I do. I've paid people to do film jobs too, but I just kind of like doing it. It's just easy. How do you recommend this much free play when youth players need fundamentals and mechanics work? From Jeff Lang. You are teaching theoretical high school practices. It's hard when it's 2 practices a week. So Jeff, I guess what I would say is, I don't think they need fundamentals the way you think they need them. And I don't think they need mechanics work the way you think they need them. I think what they need to do is learn how to play. And I'd rather have them play in a keep away game with context than work on overhand passing. Listen to my podcast on fundamentals, and you'll sort of see what I mean. I feel like a fundamental is a concept, not a particular technique. And I think that the more time you waste on teaching fundamentals, on doing stuff with no context, it's less time than you get to work on actually getting better at the game. I know, Jeff, it's really, really hard to believe that. But I do. It doesn't mean that I don't think you should ever play wall ball or never play catch. It's just that when you have a group of kids together, let them play with some context. Let them play with and against people. The whole game is about reading and influencing plays, playing with teammates, playing against opponents, and doing everything the way we kind of do, one at a time. Like, hey, let's practice it against nothing, and then let's practice it against people. What I've found is it slows. It actually is just a slower process of learning. Okay, here we go with the 6-on-6 part, which I think you guys will really like. So I love this drill. Not a ton of context, but this is important for the offense to understand how to set a pick, how to adjust a pick, and how to read whether the D is going over or under a pick. I wouldn't do this every day, but I really do want the pickers to understand how to set a pick in space and how to adjust. And I want the Dodgers to learn how to slow down and use hesitation moves. So he realizes he went under the pick. He comes back. We reset it. Now he fights over. And essentially, guys, when they go under a pick, you shoot. When they go over a pick, you're going to be able to bring them over the top of it. So I really love this as a way of teaching this scenario of how to set a pick, how to adjust a pick, and how to use hitches and hesitations when they go under the pick, and how to bring them over the top of the pick when they follow you over the pick. Check out the, you see how this guy right here completely missed on his pick? Watch this. He set his pick too close and didn't read that the fact this defender is going under the pick. Pick placement is so important, you guys. And I'm going to get way more into depth with this later. Here you're going to see a 3-on-3 on a side where we're working on 3-man motions. In this case, there was 2 picks down and a little pick the picker action, which is kind of a sweet little look. Here, you're going to see a 3-on-3 on a side with a feeder on the other side. And we're learning how to, if we're not open, how to cut off of that initial pass and then how to swing it back. Pass down, pick down, off ball, pick for the ball. The ball swings, there's cuts going. If it's not there, start it again. Pass it over, pass it down, pick, cut, give and go, swing it back over, pass it down again. I don't love that look, but that's pretty good motion. Here's the 3-on-3 on the side with a picker. Nothing there, swing it back. Swing it over, look for the cuts. If it's not there, swing it back, run it again. Pass down, pick down. So when someone asks me, what offense would I do with youth? This is what I would do. I pick for the ball, I pick off the ball, and I basically play keep away with passes. Swing it in the middle of a two-man game, make a pass, make a cut. If it's there, great. If it's not, it's not. And you may say, well, our guys aren't good enough for that. Well, my opinion is if you're not very good, you're not very good at, and I think you're going to be much better off just learning how to make passes and set picks. This is a 3-on-3 with a side with no picker, and they're just making passes. Now, I know you're going to say, well, our guys aren't good enough for this. We're too young. And I'm going to say, okay, well, use all short sticks, but just learn how to set picks and make passes on ball and off ball. There's an on ball pick. There's a pass. There's an on ball pick. There's a pass. There's an on ball pick. There's a pass, on ball pick and a pass. And that's what we're really working on here was these on ball picks and passes. What do we have here? Here is a 4-on-4 drill called 4-on-4 from behind. See this bucket here? These buckets are like a restraining line at 10 yards. And we've got an out of bounds over here. We've got an out of bounds at that bucket there. And you basically are playing 4v4 with 2 poles and 2 shorts, or sometimes 3 poles and 1 short behind the net. And I think we kicked it off with a 3-pass keep away. So we said to the green team, you guys are locking off for 3 passes. The offense has to complete 3 passes before they can attack. There's 1. Look at the off-ball actions. There's 2. There's 3 up. Ball's out of bounds. The defense won that rep. So the way we play it to make it competitive is we'll say offense gets 3 runs. You score 1 goal, it's a tie. 2 goals, the offense wins. 0 goals, the defense wins. So now they're being shut off again. Up, there's 1 pass, there's 2 passes, 3 passes. Okay, so now the defense is dropping in and playing, and they should be helping, but they're not ready for it. So the whole idea here is we're working on the 3-pass part because we're trying to create some pressure that I like to do like once a day to create a shitload of pressure on these guys. And then I want to be able to play just good, big, little defense and help defense in a 4-on-4 situation. And I also want them double teaming when they can. You see that? See how right here we got a double team? That's part of why I love this 3-pass pressure rule, because it sets up opportunities for us to learn how to double the ball like the old 4-on-4 double team drill. So pretty good job both ways. This is an incredibly exhausting drill, and you can see these guys doing push-ups here because it was competitive. The defense lost. If they get 2 goals scored on them, then they lose. So oh, that should have been a double. You lose the rep if you don't double when you're supposed to double too, by the way. So we'll see. There's a guy, see, he's sealing right here. Oh, darn it. I hate when I do that. Should have been a double there. So 4-on-4 from behind with a 3-pass keep away. You don't have to do the 3-pass part, but I love doing it. All right, so here's the same thing, but 5-on-5. 5-on-5 from behind with full pressure. Now we're using a 13-yard or maybe 15-yard restraining line, and we're dealing with pressure. Why? Because possession is one of the most important parts of the game. And so we're working hard on learning how to maintain possession. Then we're playing 5-on-5 and trying to play help defense and be able to help in, slide if we have to, get double teams, and they can't go outside the box. We're making it competitive. The box being that 15-yard restraining line or 13-yard restraining line. And so it's pretty awesome, you guys. I think you'll love it. All right, 5v5. Here, what do we got? This is a 5v5 game with an X guy behind the net. So similar to the 5-on-5 we were doing before, but we can now dump it to X if we want to. We're making the game competitive. Again, I usually make it competitive by saying, all right, offense, you get 3 tries in a row. You know, you score 1 goal, it's a tie, you score 2, you win, you score 0, you lose. The guy behind can't score, and I don't want him hanging on to it all day long either. This was the first day, so it wasn't necessarily the best ball movement yet, but it gets better. We'll see what we got here. So let's get to the 6v6 competitions. Sometimes we do it off of face-off and wing play. Lots of content in the CTP on that. So let's take a look at this. So this is a game called 6-on-6 for points. You got a white team and a green team. And we're running, you guys, just so you know what the offense is. This was the very first time we ever ran 6-on-6. The rules were pick on ball, pick off ball simultaneously, move the ball. And if you don't set picks simultaneously, a 15-second shot clock comes on. Pick on ball, pick off ball, move the ball. And that's what they were doing all day long. Pick on ball, pick off ball, move the ball. And look at the movement that they're getting. It is so awesome. This is day one, you guys. Day one of pick on ball, pick off ball, move the ball. And look at this guy penetrate all the way in. Why? Because look at the backside action with these two lefties working together, curling over the top, popping out. They don't know whether to stay with their guy or not. And all of a sudden, a midi gets all the way in to 6 yards directly in front of the goal. And this is what happens. Now, why did we change? Because when we play 6-on-6 for points, what we do is we say after 2 goals, 2 turnovers, or 2 clears, we switch. So now the white team is going to go out on offense. The green team is going to play defense, and we compete. So green has the ball. We had 2 even teams here. Picks on ball, pick off ball, move the ball. Up 1 goal for green. So now green gets the ball back. See what happens next. So we're playing out our clear all the way to the midline. We're riding to the midline. Up 2 goals. All right, well, that was quick. So now green switches out and white comes back on. Defense get a little bit torched here, right? Pick on ball, pick off ball, move the ball. Look at the actions, guys. Check out the way this kid passes. This is my cousin Joe Dowling. He's at Harvard. Watch the way he moves the ball right there in the middle of 2-man game. And watch how open he gets. Man, when you move the ball in the middle of 2-man games like that, it is absolutely devastating. Swinging the ball, attacking, picks on both sides. A lot of goals being scored here. So white just scores again on their first rep. Pick on ball, pick off ball, move the ball. Move it, buddy, move it. Swing it. Ooh, not a great shot, but not terrible, I guess. Didn't love it. So now they're clearing it to the midline, but I think they turn it over. No, so we're clearing here. So now we get to work on clear. So usually your offense isn't going to score. We're actually subbing guys on, subbing guys off. It was day one, so they really didn't know what they were doing all that well. But we're working on our rides and clears during the course of this, and actually they scored on the ride back. So now green's back on offense. All right, so this is a really good way to make it realistic. Great way to have the kind of context that we're talking about. All right, the last part here. This is the last day of 6-on-6, last day of those kids being here. I'm going to do a full webinar on this way of playing offense, but man, I love it. Pick on ball, pick off ball, move the ball. Pick on ball, pick off ball, move the ball. Possession, spacing, reads. And what are the reads? The reads are, when do we need to move the ball? The reads are they switching or are they staying? The reads are, should I seal or should I slip or should I pick? And the way these guys are moving the ball is absolutely off the charts. The way they're moving off the ball and picking and sealing, swinging it, throwing the ball through X, getting it. I mean, the way they're moving the ball is just phenomenal. And there is like literally no set, no rules, just pick on ball, pick off ball, move the ball. There's no motions. Rules are those 5 principles that I explained before. All right, so I know this was a super long webinar with a lot of information, and we started out with about 200 people on, and now we're down to about 110. But I'm going to take some questions now. I'm going to do a lot more on the offense, but I just wanted to show you guys a ton of drills. that would allow you to sort of build an offense, build a team. As you can see, every one of those we did with the Deerfield team last year on spring break, and trying to conserve their energy by not working them too hard, mixing our free play to be in our game-like situations to make it realistic for them. And all the while understanding the difference between context and no context. All right, so how do I teach spacing within the offense? From Troy. So Troy, what I say about spacing is, and there's a lot of details on this, but number one, stay out of the middle. I mean, don't hang out in the middle. Don't jam up the middle, right? We want to be able to cut to the middle and attack the middle and dodge to the middle. So for that, that's one. Another one would be, don't jam up a dodger. Don't cut at a dodger. You know what's so funny? Because like in this offense, it's less about clearing space. Where in most offense, all the off ball is like clear space, clear space. This is a little bit more about just it's opening up space by opening up the middle and working together with people. It's more about that than just clear throughs. Another spacing piece is the spacing between off ball players to work together. So what happened? A big mistake that people make is they spread really too far apart. And so therefore it takes them too long to work together. I think about 6 to 9 yards apart. Let's say your backside pair, you shouldn't spread too far apart or you can't work together. Okay. Stay close enough together that you can do multiple actions during the course of while you're backside. So how would I use these concepts with the youngest of kids who struggle to pass and catch? I would play, the youngest of kids, like 6 and 7 and 8 year olds. I mean, honestly, maybe they should be playing a little bit more soccer if they can't really catch. But I would do a lot of beehive stuff. Go to the youth lacrosse stuff in the coaches training, and you'll see all kinds of stuff that kids can do with a ball in their stick. Kids at that age really don't need a ton of context. They really just need to play, but they want to play games anyways. So to figure out a way to play a little 2-on-2 games with them where they can just scoop it. The ball's on the ground the whole time anyway. So they just scoop it up and throw it in the net, make it fun, make it competitive. But this webinar is not quite for 6-year-olds. There'll be a whole nother webinar and discussion. What formation would I use without having a crease guy from Jay Willis? Some kind of a circle. I don't really believe in having formations because why get them into a particular set? What I want is picks on ball, picks off ball, simultaneous with ball movement. Someone has to back up the net. And I probably want lefties on their side and righties on their side. So it might turn out, the way it's going to look, honestly, is you're going to have kind of 2 lefties probably and 3 righties and somebody behind the net, but you can mix up who goes where. Do I use rules for the free play? Do I set up rules? Yeah, I might set up rules like it's 3-on-3 plus a goalie, or it might be 3-on-3 where one person on the defensive team plays goalie. If you go to those to the backyard curriculum, there's about 20 really good games in there that are worth checking out. Let's see here, other Q&A. I mentioned ball pressure as one of the key defensive principles. If I have poles who aren't as comfortable going out to pressure the O. Okay, so from anonymous attendee. So like if ball pressure doesn't mean you have to chase everybody all over the field. It just means that once they get within a range of being able to feed, you must have a stick on their gloves. Does that make sense? So ball pressure doesn't mean full pressure at all times. Although I like to practice that a lot. I don't want my slower guys pressuring the crap out of a faster guy either. But when they get within a certain range where they can begin to feed, we must have ball pressure. How do I drill the teaching of timing of cuts? From Albie. From all of those, from picking on ball and off ball and moving the ball, it's more about reading the picks than it is about timing cuts entirely. When you start thinking about trying to time stuff, it gets a little bit too scripted. So I think that the whole key is, and I'm going to do a whole webinar on this offense. Today was a little bit more just showing you the drills. But those 3-on-3 drills where we're picking and passing and moving it and swinging it, that's how we do this. From Chris, how do you start using these concepts in the yard? We already answered that one. Tried to. When you were saying 4-on-3 clear, does that include the goalie? It does, yeah. So that is answer to that. What do you typically do to get a guy to? Oh, we already answered that. Okay, so if any of you guys have questions moving forward, email me at jmonroe@jm3sports.com. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'm really fired up that we got the virtual lacrosse summit going on. Thank you so much for coming on, and have a great night.